Hi there. My name's Reuben, and I'm just a humble badger who lives near Mount Carmel. Life here is usually peaceful, soft winds, rustling leaves, and plenty of bugs to snack on. But one day, something amazing happened, something that showed me just how powerful and real God is. Let me tell you about the time I saw fire fall from the sky and learned that faith can change everything. It started when the people around us stopped trusting God. They began listening to false prophets who told them to worship a pretend god named Baal. I didn't understand it at first. Why turn away from the one true God who made everything? Even the animals were confused. We missed the prayers and songs we used to hear. Then came Elijah. Not the badger, he was a prophet, a man of God. He walked right into King Ahab's palace and said, "There will be no rain until God says so." And guess what? The skies dried up. No rain, no dew. The rivers shrank. Even the worms got thirsty. Elijah wasn't afraid to speak the truth. Elijah disappeared for a while, hiding near a brook. I once peeked at him from behind a bush. He looked tired, but peaceful. Birds brought him food every day. I couldn't believe my eyes. God was taking care of him in the most amazing ways. I began to wonder, could God care for me like that too? Years passed, and still no rain. One hot afternoon, I heard shouting. Elijah was back, and he had a message from God. He told King Ahab to gather everyone at the top of Mount Carmel, including the prophets of Baal. That's where I live. So I rushed to see what would happen. My little paws could barely keep up. A huge crowd gathered. People stood everywhere, on rocks, in trees, even on cliff edges. Elijah stood tall and said, "How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him." I peeked from behind a log, heart pounding. What was he going to do? Elijah proposed a challenge. 2 altars would be built, one for Baal and one for God. 2 bulls would be placed on the altars, but no fire allowed. The God who answered with fire would be the true God. The prophets of Baal agreed. Everyone watched, wide-eyed and waiting. All morning, the prophets of Baal danced and shouted, "Oh Baal, answer us," they cried. But nothing happened. They jumped and spun and even cut themselves. But still no fire. I watched from a tree stump. It was sad and scary. So much noise, but no power. Elijah stepped forward. He rebuilt God's altar using 12 stones, one for each tribe of Israel. Then he dug a trench around it. I tilted my head. What was he doing? He poured water all over the altar. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Everything was soaked. Even I knew soaked wood doesn't burn. The trench overflowed. Elijah looked up and prayed, "Lord, let everyone know that you are God, and that I have done all this at your command." The whole mountaintop went silent. Even the birds stopped chirping. Then whoosh! Fire fell from the sky. Bright, blazing fire. It burned up the wood, the stones, the bull, even the water in the trench. I jumped so high I nearly flipped over. Everyone fell on their faces and cried, "The Lord, he is God." It was the most powerful thing I've ever seen. The prophets of Baal ran, and Elijah told the people to turn back to God. The sky, once dry and dusty, began to shift. Clouds rolled in fluffy, full, and ready. Rain was coming. After years of silence, God's voice echoed loud and clear through fire and mercy. I ran back to my burrow and couldn't stop trembling. Not from fear but from awe. I had seen God answer with fire. I knew then that He listens. He's real. And He's always with those who trust Him, even when they feel small like a badger. That night, as rain tapped the leaves, I curled up in my den and whispered, "Thank you, Lord. I wasn't just a little animal in the forest anymore. I was a witness to God's glory. And I knew I'd never forget what happened on Mount Carmel." The next morning, the earth smelled fresh. Flowers began to bloom again. Streams trickled. I walked slowly through the woods, thinking about Elijah. He didn't have fancy weapons or an army, just faith, and God showed up in a mighty way. Sometimes, I still hear animals talking about that day. They remember the fire, the roar, the rain, and I always smile, because I know the truth. They saw God's power, just like I did. That moment planted something deep in all of us: hope. Do you ever feel like your prayers are too small? Like no one hears you? I used to feel that way, but not anymore. Elijah's story and the fire from heaven taught me that God hears every prayer, even the whispered ones. When you trust in God, amazing things can happen. You might not see fire fall from the sky, but you'll feel His presence in your heart, in your family, and in quiet moments. That's where faith begins, in trust, not in big displays. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I know who holds tomorrow: God. Just like He cared for Elijah, He cares for you. Through storms, through sunshine, through everything in between, He is faithful. I'm just Reuben the Badger. I can't call down fire. I can't stop rain. But I can tell you this: God is real. And He's listening. That truth makes me brave. That truth makes me sing inside, even on hard days. Next time you look at a campfire or a lightning flash, remember the fire on Mount Carmel. Remember that one person's faith can remind a whole nation who God is. That's the power of belief. And you, yes, you can be like Elijah. You can speak truth, stand tall, and trust God even when others don't. That's what being brave really means: not being loud, but being faithful. So if you're ever afraid or unsure, think of the altar, the soaked wood, and the fire that fell. Think of a small badger who saw it all. And remember, you are never alone when you trust in God. Thanks for listening to my story. I hope it lit a spark in your heart like that fire on the mountain. Keep shining, keep praying, and keep trusting the Lord. He's always near, and always good.